Today I'd like to talk to you about and talk with you about the power of prayer. The power of prayer. Now, prayer is what the founders of Unity established this movement on in Unity. They both had physical healings. They both taught affirmative prayer, and prayer is at the root of this movement we call Unity. Now, but before I go there any further, I would like to deviate just for a moment to tell you about garlic. I want to talk to you about garlic, yeah. Did you know that there are now 1,000 published studies that have investigated the medicinal properties of garlic? And that today in the U.S., garlic ranks among the top 5 best-selling herbs. And that there's a compound in garlic that is called allicin, which is thought to be responsible for many reported health benefits. And it's estimated that a single fresh garlic clove makes about 4,000 to 12,000 micrograms of allicin. And experts recommend eating 1 garlic clove per day for various health benefits. And some of those things are, garlic has shown that it helps prevent stroke, helps manage heart disease, it reduces cholesterol, it offers some help in cancer prevention, acting as an antioxidant, cleaning up damaging free radicals. Anyway, there are some social consequences to adding garlic to your diet. There is something called garlic breath or body odor that can occur if someone eats really large amounts of garlic. It also acts as a blood thinner, and so therefore one should not use a lot of garlic prior to a surgery if they're going to have a surgery, because they reduce the risk of post-operative bleeding that way. Now, having provided this very interesting information, there's a certain number of you who may take action and actually begin to take more garlic in your life, or take it up for the first time. I don't know. Perhaps some of you do already like garlic and have a fair share amount of it, and you know that it's good for you in these various things. Some of you may have forgotten, and it's like, oh, thank you for reminding me. You know, that is really a benefit to one's health and well-being. And so that I have now sort of elevated your interest once again in garlic, or for the first time. Now let us talk about prayer, okay? First, allow me to say that the power of prayer is much more important to any and all of us than the power or meaningfulness of garlic. And yet, studies have been done on prayer and the power of prayer, which have left no doubt as to the value and the benefit and the effectiveness of adding that to your life in high doses, in large amounts. The benefits are numerous. Okay, and experts have recommended that a person pray daily. In fact, the scriptures state to pray unceasingly. Pray without ceasing. There are no social consequences. Now, most of us, we've heard about prayer. We know about prayer, obviously, and most of us have delved into prayer in varying degrees, really. And some of us, maybe no one here, have treated it like garlic. You know, we know it has value, but we use it sparingly. And, only when our life has lost its savor do we turn to it, perhaps. And some of us pray every day, and yet we have times where there is kind of a diminishing of our sense of passion and fervor around it. Our interest may go away, or we may be really intensely into prayer, and then we begin to forget about it, and it kind of falls away a little bit. So I want to do for you today what I have done for myself at times, and that is to go over some of the things that cause my awareness to be elevated in terms of the importance and the significance and the benefits of prayer, and to elevate that and to begin to, just be drawn into a greater sense of passion, that it be more consistent and more part of one's consciousness and developing a prayer consciousness. First of all, I think it's important to remind ourselves that prayer is communion. It's communion with God. All right? And certainly it doesn't include the wafer and the wine, which is a beautiful ritual. I would never take that away from anyone. But it is a way of communing with God without anything needed external, but simply the intention to go within and close the closet door, as Jesus said, and go within. A very, very powerful thing. Stating again that Jesus did it again and again and the importance of it. You know, we affirm every day that there is one presence and one power in our lives, in this church, in the universe, God the good. And so it is so appropriate for us to draw on it. Why would we not want to utilize a presence and a power and engage with that presence and power and allow it to give us counsel and allow it to surge us with the energies of peace, love, and joy if it is there? And we know that it's there. You know, we all agree that we are here to evolve spiritually. We're all here to spiral to higher dimensions of awakening awareness. You know, we're here to progress, to grow and unfold. We're here to awaken to oneness with God and all life, you know. And what if it was that we were denied somehow any opportunity or of any way of connecting with our Creator? We knew there was a Creator, but there was no way offered or open to us to actually connect with the magnificence of a presence that has filled the universe that is beyond words. Absolutely awesome. But we can't come to know. There's no way offered to come to know, you know. How frustrating, you know, that would be to know there is a presence and a power in this universe, but not be given a way to connect, to converse, to communicate, to access. But we have been given a way, and it's called prayer. It's called prayer. It could be called communication. It could be called, you know, meditation. It could be called reflecting. It could be called being one. It's called prayer. But it's many things, of course, and it's connecting with the divine. And perhaps, like me, there are times where you have maybe taken it too lightly, or it's fallen in its elevated sense of importance or significance. And you know, Jesus demonstrated, along with many masters and mystics through time, that prayer actually changes the chemistry. You know, it changes our chemistry. Do you know that? You know, and there's a story that is found in Luke chapter 9 that talks about Jesus taking Peter, James, and John up to a mountain, okay? And they went there to pray. And as he was praying, as Jesus was praying, it says there right in the passage that his appearance of his countenance was altered, and that his raiment became dazzling white. All right? There was a change in actually the chemical structure, the chemistry of his being that was visible and noticeable. Very interesting. Well, the truth is that that happens for us. You are altered. You are changed for the person who truly has a deep, heart-connected prayer life and a sense of connected to the light. That's what makes us really a light in this world. As an aside, in that same passage, you can go to verse 30, and it talks about right in there how Jesus, in this high state of prayer, began to speak to two beings that had passed on, had passed on years ago, and they named them. That Jesus actually talked to Moses and Elias, one of the great prophets, were there. Interesting, isn't it? How you connect to many worlds and how thin the veil becomes when a person gets into higher states, truly. And perhaps it also says that we should not be too quick to condemn or disbelieve those who are legitimate mediums, as they're called, who are able to speak to those on the other side. We often scoff at what we don't understand or know. Spiritual things are spiritually discerned. Now, it wasn't the mountain itself that gave Jesus this sense of having his countenance and raiment altered and changed and filled with white light. It was prayer. That's what did it, you see. And Jesus said that he was a light in the world, and he said we are to be a light in the world, and that we're not to hide it, you know, not to cover it up. And the way that we cover it up is, of course, through becoming overwhelmed with circumstances and difficulties that come our way. But the way that we keep the light shining is actually to maintain the connection, to keep connecting through prayer to this power, to this light of truth. Prayer is essential to the soul the same way that blood is essential to the body to keep it alive and healthy. The Apostle Paul went from a place where he had no prayer, no time for prayer, no belief in prayer, no belief in the spiritual path, an unenlightened state, to basically a conversion where he was altered and becoming a total advocate of prayer, the one that was saying, pray without ceasing and connect, and how important it is. Jesus not only lived prayer, he taught the importance of it, he taught how to pray, when to pray, where to pray, all these things. Gave us what we call our Lord's Prayer, the Our Father. Also, there are in Luke chapter 18 various parables that talk about Jesus, and actually he almost comes right out and says pray without ceasing as the essence of the message in one of those parables. He says, do not let up, do not become faint of heart or lose heart in terms of the importance of your connection to the divine, no matter what's happening out there. One of my favorite verses that I've shared with you in the past is, so simple and so powerful and so meaningful, has been to all my life. And that was the verse that I was given when I was confirmed in the Lutheran Church in the 8th grade. And that Bible verse was, ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. We should have that branded on our consciousness, to never stop asking, to never stop seeking, and to never stop knocking. Because essentially it comes down to us. God does not force his will upon us. God does not push the door down. He says, here's the door. You have to knock. You have to seek. You have to ask. You have to initiate. It's your role to do this. I'm not going to make robots out of you. I've given you freedom and free choice. And you make the decisions, and how often it is that you wish to connect with me, the all-knowingness that is in and throughout this universe that is sacred and holy, amazing. And so if we don't ask or seek or knock, basically we're simply denying ourselves of the purest source that we could ever align or access. Many studies and experiments have been done in regard to prayer. And so we have scientific proof, of course, that it works. We don't necessarily need to have scientific proof for many of us. Some would say putting God to the test is ridiculous, but for others, those who see those kind of experiments that say it's inarguably a result in prayer, they sit up and take notice. I attended a conference in North Carolina on addiction. It was some years ago, but I was serving on a board for recovery in North Carolina. I was there on it for about 7 or 8 years. And anyway, this conference, they were talking about the understanding of the brain and its relation to addiction. And one of the speakers, Jeff Georgi, he is a clinical director of addictions at Duke University. And he gave an interesting presentation around the study of the brain and addictions. And he commented about how there at one time was really no openness in the university settings for the idea that prayer or meditation or spiritual principles had anything, of any significance they just didn't have an effect. In fact, they referred to them as placebo effects. And how, when he shared his talk, he was saying how that has really altered, and Duke University and other universities have begun to acknowledge that these things alter prayer, meditation, spiritual principles, forgiveness, alter the brain chemistry. That they have been able to show that and demonstrate that. We offer here Oneness Blessings, hands-on Oneness Blessing, and we say that's neurobiological. It actually is helping over a cumulative period of time to create new neurological brain pathways from the parietal lobes disengaged to engaging with the frontal lobes, where all the masters and mystics have measurably been functioning from when they have that connectedness to the divine spiritual place. There have been blind studies actually done to show the effectiveness and the validity of prayer. One blind study that is interesting is where they used about 400 people. It was, to be exact, there were 393 cardiac care unit patients in the cardiac care unit. And of that, approximately 400, half of them were being prayed for, and they didn't know it, and actually the doctors and nurses didn't know it. And those who were doing the praying were some prayer groups that were both Catholic and Protestant, and they were given the names of those patients, half of the 400, and they were given a little bit of data as to what their condition was as well. And the results showed that the patients that were prayed for were 5 times less likely to need antibiotic treatments than those who were not receiving any prayer, and they were also 3 times less likely to develop pulmonary edema than the other group. Very interesting. There was another study that showed that the power of prayer, that it's an energy, it's transmission of energy in terms of all life. And it was done with seeds, rye seeds. And so what they did is they had a container in which they put the seeds, and on one side they had seeds labeled A, and on the other side seeds labeled B. And what they did was pray for the one over the other. And they repeated this many times, and with different people doing the praying. And each experiment proved and provided clear results that the seeds that were prayed for were more healthy, they had more shoots, they had more of a positive effect upon them. And then, interestingly enough, they did a study to see if more prayer is better. You know, more is better in this case. And what they did is they divided seeds into X, Y, and Z. Okay, so 3 categories. And so then they had 2 units. They had a group praying for X and Y as a unit. They had another group praying for Y and Z as a unit. You get it? So Y got double the prayer. Well, again, the result was that Y, the seeds under the Y, did twice as well as the others. They all did well, but Y did twice as well. So again, stronger effects, the importance of prayer, it's interesting. And studies have also shown that non-directed prayer is actually more effective than directed prayer. And by that, what I mean is that, and they did this with seeds also, but basically both are very effective, but a non-directed means I don't have a specific goal in mind for my prayer. I'm praying for thy will be done. I'm praying for whatever is the highest good of all concerned, or myself, or this situation. I'm not telling God what to do. You get what I'm saying? That they have, in studies, shown is more powerful than you telling God specifically what needs to be done. All right? You get results in both. You get results in both. But they have, through experimentation, found without a doubt that if you leave it open to God, it's always a more powerful prayer. And so those are interesting things to make note of. You know, some people wonder why people don't pray. I wonder sometimes why people don't pray. But I know, being a minister as long as I have, some people it's about fear. They've been introduced to a God to fear, and it's kind of like, how do you edge up to someone who they projected a mean parent onto? Okay, so there's an unconscious sense of being afraid, or feeling not worthy, or how do I really engage with perfection when I feel so imperfect? Okay, and things like that go on. Some have a fear of intimacy in this world, and therefore can't have difficulty establishing intimacy with the divine. Okay, people feel too vulnerable. Some people feel very guilty because they regret certain behaviors or happenings and events in their life. Some project that humanness onto God, that the idea that they have to earn God's love or they have to earn God's help, and they don't feel like they have done that yet. Some project that, oh, religion and prayer, that's for the weak ones. Okay, you've heard that. It's for the weak ones. And so some may arrive at that. Many, not many, but some don't want to give up control. They're very controlling with their life. And if I have to surrender to somebody else, even God, forget that, you know. And so, that's built into some personalities. For some, it's awkward. They feel awkward. It feels unfamiliar. They are so attuned to physical matter, things you can see and touch, that they feel silly talking to something that's not there. I've had people tell me that. It's just things they have to push past. We have different items within our consciousness. But the thing you need to know is to have amazing answered prayer, there is a requirement. To have amazing answered prayer, the requirement is to believe and know that you are loved. To know that you are loved. That no matter what, no matter your past, no matter what's happened, no matter how you hold yourself, whatever insecurities or low self-esteem or whatever, all you let go of it all and know that you are loved, and you are always loved by that presence and power. And when you know that, that opens the doors for that love to come in and help and assist and empower and heal in a multitude of ways. Major key is also faith, of course. But mystics have taught that oftentimes fervor and passion and coming from the heart and feeling is very important to one's prayers. The only thing that can weaken a prayer, as they say, is basically those who are coming from pride. Those who are prideful, who place faith in their own power and merits, believing it's possible to sort of superimpose themselves upon the will of God. That can weaken. And so, there is prayer alone, by yourself. There's prayer, communal prayer, in a group. And a group prayer can be very profound if you get everyone's consciousness and energy focused together as one, like one voice on a particular vision or happening or need, whatever it might be. But prayer alone is also very effective too. So, and there are fixed prayers. Sometimes we have trouble, the right words elude us. So we might find a prayer that has been written down or someone else has crafted, and we tuck it away. We keep it because the words that they have carry a force or an energy. They convey a feeling to us, and we want to keep it. Oh, that takes us to a deep place. Nothing wrong with that, you see. Because it isn't that it always have to be your own flowery words. If that's a help, then do it. My mother, as I've shared, has rheumatoid arthritis, and she's had it for over 25 years. And when it set in, she went into inner work and prayer work. And she found a prayer at that time. She said that she has used every day, every morning. She starts her day with this prayer. And it's a fixed prayer that she found in a prayer book. And this is the prayer. She shared it with me some years ago. It's beautiful. It goes, Lord, in the quiet of this morning hour, I come to thee for peace, for wisdom, power, to view the world today through love-filled eyes. Be patient, understanding, gentle, wise. To see beyond what seems to be, and know thy children as thou knowest them. And so naught but the good in anyone behold. Make deaf my ears to slander that is told. Silence my tongue to aught that is unkind. Let only thoughts that bless dwell in my mind. Let me so kindly be, so full of cheer, that all I meet may feel thy presence near. Oh, clothe me in thy beauty. This I pray. Let me reveal thee, Lord, through all the day. That's her prayer every day. Now that lady is 91 years old. I've asked her time and again, Mom, do you have any discomfort? Nope, none. Okay? She has some of the effects of rheumatoid arthritis, but she is in no pain, living a happy, cheerful life, sound mind, beautiful soul. I'm grateful for my mom and what she's taught me. And so prayer is cumulative, It actually is a restructuring of the self, where one is gradually brought into alignment with a Christ frequency, a God frequency, like turning the channels on a radio and you get the highest frequency and you're tuned into what feeds you like nothing else. It's like that. And you have to do that within yourself from time to time. And it helps give you a deeper understanding of who you